But I dove into all 7 pass plays that were given up by the Cowboys that were more than 20 yards. And it's crazy that there were 7 of them, first off. But let's go ahead and take a look into all 7 to figure out what exactly went wrong. So let's start with this first one. And appreciate Caden for the screen share here. This
Also,
is in the first quarter.
All of these are broken down in your article on Fort Worth Star Telegram as well.
Good plug. Good plug. Thank you. I should have plugged that to begin with. See, that's why you're here for the brand. First quarter. This is that deep pass down the middle to Wan'Dale Robinson, that 50-yard gain. And I've seen this on Twitter being attributed to Reddy Stewart. This is not a Reddy Stewart issue. This is a Kenneth Murray issue. They are playing Tampa 2 coverage. Yes, it's a Kenneth Murray issue, but it's also a Matt Eberflus issue in expecting Kenneth Murray to be able to cover that deep middle part of the field. John, do you want to dive into this a little bit more as well?
Also, we got to give credit to Brian Daboll here, because this is a specific Tampa 2 beater, and the Cowboys are playing a Tampa 2 defense. So this is a concept that is built to beat the Tampa 2 defense. That's why you see that they run that little sit route to occupy Murray's eyes, and then they bring the vertical down behind him. What he's supposed to do is he's supposed to be aware of all the threats, especially to the 3 receiver side, the 3 receiver side. And he should be able to have vision of that through that number 3 receiver to the number 2 running the vertical and stay more connected. You see there's like 3 yards of separation there. It should be he's on his back hip, so that it can kind of create a vice between the 2 back safeties and him, and they vice around it, and it really condenses the throwing lane. But because he gets his eyes, he's in blinders all locked up on that sit route, he's not able to relate to the number 2 running a vertical. This is not on Reddy Stewart. This is not match coverage by any means. As you can see, no one is running a match style coverage. The only reason why you see the cornerback at the top of the screen doing a man turn and running is because there's a 3 receiver. It's a 3-by-1 formation. So when you're running a 3-by-1, that outside receiver's in a meg look, which means man everywhere he goes, unless he runs a shallow breaking route. And that's only to do it so that they can relate to the receivers on that side, because there are more weapons to the defense's left than there are to the defense's right. So you kind of have to even out the math there by having the cornerback man up that corner, but everybody else is playing a typical zone Tampa 2 defense that you would normally see every single week from every single team.
Yeah, it's something I want to point out too, because we're going to point this out a couple of times as we go through this film. Look at Reddy Stewart right here around the 40-yard line, pointing down to the Wan'Dale Robinson leak, and he's pointing at him so that Kenneth Murray can get over. Sorry, it's my dog. I thought I locked him up, but I guess he broke out. Reddy Stewart, there are multiple times in this thread where you can tell he knows this scheme a little bit more than everybody else. So it's proven, the proof is in the pudding that he learned a little something last year in Chicago with Matt Eberflus. Let's dive into the second one. 3:43 in the first quarter. This was a 28-yard gain from Wilson to Neighbors down the left sideline. Just your typical standard cover 3. There's nothing really complex about this. This is just Trayvon Diggs getting beat. Malik Neighbors down the left sideline. The athleticism was just a little bit more on display. He got to the ball before Diggs could. And, there's a couple of times where Diggs gave up a little bit too much cushion. This is probably a good instance, but this is also just Neighbors with a good release package getting out.
And yeah, you can kind of see here that Diggs is still a little bit limited athletically, because you see how kind of slow he is to flip his hips and run with Neighbors here. He kind of stays in that press, and he doesn't land hands. If he's going to be a little bit slow, he has to land a press with that inside hand and kind of funnel him more to the sideline. But Diggs is not able to get any hands in the press when he's in that kind of press zone. And that allows Neighbors to get a free release to the outside and really create that separation, because he's such a better athlete than Diggs is right now.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen some hands on that play as well. This is another Tampa 2, but it's not as egregious as the Kenneth Murray responsibility being blown. This is just really more so Russell Wilson being a veteran quarterback, understanding where the hole is going to be and taking advantage of an unathletic linebacker in Jack Sanborn. So in this Tampa 2 responsibility, once again, the middle linebacker has to get out and cover that deep middle portion of the field. Jack Sanborn tries to do that, but again, just a beautifully placed ball by Russell Wilson to get it to Wan'Dale Robinson right in that hole in that zone coverage.
One thing that you would like to see here, it's not Reddy Stewart's fault that this ball is completed, but you would like to see him get a better reroute on the receiver to give Sanborn a little bit more time to get over there, or to widen the receiver enough that he funnels it to the deep safety. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't get enough of a reroute there, so it makes it a little bit difficult. But still, like you said, the main culprit is that Jack Sanborn's just not a good enough athlete to get out there. And you see that he takes kind of that, go to the very beginning again. You'll see from that end zone view, and you'll see that Sanborn takes a false step forward. And when he takes that false step forward, he's done because he's not a good enough athlete to take that false step right there.
Boom.
And then he has to turn and run, and that's just too much. He's not, Kenneth Murray, because Kenneth Murray is such a better athlete, maybe he could get away with that a little bit better, but Sanborn just isn't, and that's what really cost the Cowboys in this situation.
And there's Reddy Stewart once again pointing. It's like, hey, that guy. Okay, I'm gonna delve into one of those talking points you just had. What can Reddy Stewart do legally to kind of reroute Robinson here?
Just get better hands on him. Try to push him out more wider. Try to get him wider, or if he stems inside, push him in closer to Sanborn. It's kind of hard to see from him on this end zone view, but if you go to the wide view, you can see that he doesn't really land good enough hands within that 5-yard cushion zone.
Yeah, perfect. Makes sense. Let's dive into this fourth one. This is the touchdown play. It's actually the very next play. This is your standard cover 4, and I put Trayvon Diggs as the main responsibility here. And we talked about this play on Monday's show, John. I also want to highlight Donovan Wilson here too, though, because he could have been in a better position to
100%.
take on this play, and he just wasn't there.
You could tell by a big way that you can key on where the safety should be is look at the leverage that the cornerback is playing. And as you can see, Diggs is playing that low outside hip. And that likely means that the safety is supposed to play up top on the near hip, because what you want to do is create a vice between your cornerback and your safety so that they kind of arrive at the catch point and really limit that throwing lane or that completable passing window. And you see Donovan Wilson, like he had a lot of issues in this game. His eyes were in the wrong place. He wasn't able to vision the outside vertical route because his eyes were so keyed in on what was going inside. And this is why Donovan Wilson is not someone who should be a deep safety in a defense. He is much better in the box, and it's because his vision's much better when you can narrow what he's looking at. When he has to see the whole field, he's kind of like he doesn't see the forest through the trees type of thing.
Yeah, and it's funny because you can see him pleading for an incompletion this whole play. So he goes, Donovan Wilson tries to motion incomplete there, and then he tried to motion bobble. It's like, nah, dog. That was.
And if you go back, because the Giants are in a 3-by-1 again, that weak side safety does have to vision to see if the number 3 receiver is coming vertical on the special route downfield.
Makes sense.
But he comes up too much, and as soon as that guy stops route, he needs to immediately get depth. He comes too far inside. He needs to trust his teammates and trust his eyes. He's just so much trying to jump everything that it gets him put in pad position often.
All in all, though, too much cushion being
100%.
given by Trayvon Diggs. All in all, this is a play that Diggs has made in the past and should make in this instance. But Wilson, needs to help out his guy.
And like we talked about on Monday, Diggs is an out of phase corner. He plays out of phase a lot. He just doesn't have that recovery speed to get there and really contest the catch point like he did in the past. Hopefully that's something that comes back as he gets stronger and more confident as the season progresses. Or maybe it's something that we have to wait till next year, because they say year or 2 after, those knee injuries is when they're finally at 100%.
Now this is the one we were discussing in our group chat this morning, and John was basically like, Nick, you're stupid. This is what it is, and you're 100% right. I'll kind of let you delve into this one.
Yeah, the Cowboys are here in a very simple cover 3. As you can see here, everybody on the defense is playing cover 3 except Elam. Diggs is playing on top of the vertical in his silo coverage. You see Murray and Sanborn dropping to the hooks. Sanborn is using what's called a robot technique, where he turns and runs with the crosser. That is a very cover 3 style technique. You see the flat defenders. You see Hooker playing the deep middle. And Elam, for some reason, he's playing it like it's cover 2. He tries to reroute the receiver, and then he kind of just sinks to his little short to intermediate depth. But as you can see, when you have a safety in the deep middle part of the field, it is impossible for them to get over there to outside the numbers, almost, to the hash marks on the sideline. That is impossible. I don't care if Earl Thomas, Ed Reed is back there. They are not making that kind of play. It is just not feasible. So Elam, he got it mixed up, had a brain fart. I'm not sure, but everybody else is playing cover 3, and he is definitely not.
And this is the part where we talk about communication in the secondary and how there were so many times where there were lapses in communication. This is a prime example, and there's going to be another one here in a second, of Elam thinking it's cover 2, everybody else playing cover 3, and that leaves Slayton wide open. And you go against a veteran quarterback like Russell Wilson, he's going to identify that 10 times out of 10. And that's ultimately what led to the biggest gain in the entire game for either team and through the air. Now the fourth quarter plays, and man, this is another one that you helped me figure out here, and it's Malik Hooker. You ask what is going on here, and I asked it so much that I thought it was more of a cover 2 buzz, that he was in the right, because why else would he be stepping forward? But it truly is just your standard. It truly is just your standard cover 3, where Malik Hooker was just not in the right position.
Yeah, here I mistakenly said that he's supposed to play on top of this, but he's not. He's supposed to play underneath it and get depth, while the deep safety, Donovan Wilson, who has his eyes in the wrong place yet again, they're supposed to, like I've said it many times, they're supposed to create that vice on the corner, on the receiver as he gets downfield, but neither one of them does it. Donovan Wilson has blinders on. He's not seeing the vertical to the outside. He's supposed to be deeper than the deepest. But he gets pulled up by another inside sit route. He's not having his vision. He's not seeing the whole field, which is what a deep safety has to do. And once again, it's why you do not put Donovan Wilson as your deep middle safety.
It doesn't make sense.
Consistently. These are the types of things that happen.
It doesn't make sense at all, and I don't get it. I think you have probably 3 players on your roster that are better fit for this type of situation than Donovan Wilson, and one of them is on the field, Malik Hooker. So it's confusing why he was put in a position to do that.
Like, I understand the theory of what Eberflus is trying to do. He's trying to roll and rock at safety, so quarterbacks can't get an idea of who's going to be the box safety, who's going to play deep when they're in their cover 3. Are they going to play both deep? Like, he's trying to create that confusion because he doesn't play the most complex coverages. So he's trying to be complex with his rotations, but that is putting sub players in positions where they don't perform optimally. They're not playing to their strengths. They're getting put in places where they're actually performing to what the weakest parts of their game are. And through 2 weeks, the offenses are taking full advantage of those situations.
I wanted to pause it right here because, reminder, this is a 4th and 4 play. If the defense gets off the field here, there's an opportunity for the offense to run the clock out and win the game, and we don't deal with nearly as many dramatics as we ended up dealing with in this game as a spectator. 4th and 4, I wanted to pause it right here because Russell Wilson realistically has 3 options beyond the sticks here to pick up the first down. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand the call here overall. I mean, there's so many layers to the call that I don't understand. First off, Donovan Wilson being the free in this instance, but also why not just run cover 2 here? It's 4th and 4. Cover that middle range of the field and let those safeties just take half of a responsibility, cut up the field in half, and it makes this a lot more manageable. I don't get running what they ran here and calling what they called here.
Yeah, I don't get it. Personally in these situations, I like to bring blitzes, play tight man coverage, so at least you have one guy on every receiver and there should not be anybody running free, and you're getting pressure on the ball, making the quarterback have to make a quick decision. I don't like this idea of kind of sitting back and playing these kind of like soft vanilla zone coverages where if the quarterback gets protection or if you have a miscommunication or if you have bad eyes, you're going to get put in a really poor position. When you're playing man coverage, you're not going to have bad eyes because your eyes are only on your man. So obviously you still get beat in those situations, but at least you limit the coverage bust so they're not going to be easy pitching catches like we've seen for so many plays in this 7-play clip that you put up for us.
Man coverage, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
I say that, and I think there's a potentiality where there was man coverage on this play, but nevertheless, whether it's cover 2 man or cover 4, this responsibility falls on Trayvon Diggs and Donovan Wilson. Kyer Elam and Donovan Wilson. I honestly attribute the fault here more to Donovan Wilson. I thought Kyer Elam played good coverage on this play. Yeah. I really did, and It's more so Donovan Wilson taking such a poor angle.
Again, why is this man playing deep? We've seen so many examples of it.
Exactly. And you see Elam
That
running step for step. He could have
this
played the ball better. I'll say that, talking about Elam. But Wilson taking the angle, hold
Mhm.
on, I'll stop it. He takes that angle right there. And you know that ball is going to get to at least the 10-5 yard line. I honestly didn't expect it to have the hang time that it did. I can't expect for a defender to think the same thing, but you have to be planning for
Mhm.
at least to get to the 10. I mean, Wilson was cutting him off at the 15, and he was already getting overrun. And he got outran 15 yards down the field after
And
that. So
this one is even more egregious because Donovan Wilson has no other vertical or any threats to that side of the field.
yeah,
What is he doing? All you have to do is sink and get depth. The guy is running an obvious vertical route from the very beginning.
yeah.
Just sink and stay on top of the route is really all you have to do here. And you're going to be in prime position to break up the ball when the pass comes. But
It's
because he doesn't sink enough and he's taking poor angles, it causes the Cowboys to get beat here in a very key situation.
and if I could play devil's advocate for a moment, is it maybe a situation where Donovan Wilson is trying to negate a deep crosser because he knows that if Neighbors cuts right here, that's
Hooker's
Wilson's
got the deep crosser there. Hooker is
yeah,
responsible for that, especially because there's a vertical stem. So if it stems across, he's the one that has to what they call is hammer down on the deep crosser or the deep post.
gotcha.
Hooker would have been the one to have to hammer down on that. Wilson literally had nothing else that he had to do.
Regardless, hell of a throw.
Yeah, really good.
Regardless, absolute hell of a throw. I respected Russell Wilson before Sunday, but no, my respect went up a gajillion points on Sunday with Russ. He really did have some impressive throws, man, and that was the highlight of it.